This video from the September 2016 playlist covers the subject of autoloading and composer. I'll let the video itself say it. This video is about how I got my classes to autoload using the PSR4 standard and Composer's autoloader. The first thing I had to do was switch over to using namespaces. And basically that entails if I instantiate an object like log action, rather than specify the whole fully qualified name of that class, I can have a use statement up here, such as this, which allows me to not have to have that long string right here. And by the way, this is the script that instantiates the class. So this is the script that will actually be loaded by, when the user requests that page. So this is what it would look like. Every one of my scripts, and I'm talking about the scripts that a user would request, when they do a request from my website. Each one of those scripts has to include this other file, which I will show you what is involved in that file. Here that file is called start.php. Okay, that file, which gets included in all these scripts that I just mentioned, is called start.php, and I have it in my app folder right next to I don't know what you call these, but these are the files where I store the class definitions, the ones that use namespaces. You will note that this file, although it is an include file, it is still, if the need arises, I can have a use statement in this file too. But that's not the most important thing I want to point out here. In this file, which is the initialization or start script, will include the autoloader for Composer. In this line here, require vendor directory ds autoload.php. By the way, Composer's autoloader is right here. It's in the vendor directory. When a fully qualified class name is used, Composer's autoloader, the one called autoload.php, will use the parts of the fully qualified class name in order to be able to discern the location of the file which defines that class. So when you're looking at the information here, this information in the fully qualified domain name contains enough detail to allow autoload.php to discern the exact location of the file which contains the definition for the class. For example, the class session with this fully qualified domain name. There is another file which is significant to the mechanism of autoload.php and Composer, and that's the composer.json file. I will let my old video explain the contents of composer.json. I have this entry here. It basically tells Composer how to load my namespaced classes. It tells it for the vendor code course, for example. And that's, the guy on YouTube. He has very good videos. His channel is called Code Course. So his vendor name is Code Course. My vendor name is SR Labib. So this basically configures Composer so that it will, when it sees this vendor name in a fully qualified namespace for a class, it will use the app SR Labib folder. The next thing that has to be done in order for this to work, besides configuring composer.json, is, and I'm going to get my terminal here. First, I have to be SSH'd into my virtual machine, and then I have to be in the directory for the project, and then I would run this command, composerdump autoload with a -o for optimize. There's no harm in running it one more time, and basically it'll tell me generating optimized autoload files. So it used the composer.json configuration, which I just showed you, and then it modifies its autoloader in order to be able to autoload my classes. There's one thing I want to point out while I'm still in my virtual machine. Okay, let me go to my home directory. Let me show you .bashrc. I added this line. Composer also reads the environment variables in the shell. So I placed this configuration so that I wouldn't get the warning telling me the Xdebug, the fact that I'm running it, is slowing down Composer. And by the way, this command over here has to be run every time I change my composer.json in order to add another vendor directory. And speaking of vendor directories, it's important to look at the structure here. Oh, I haven't even shown you what an actual class file looks like, where you define the class. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And because it has this namespace, the file structure looks like this. And then, obviously, I had to put this in my JSON file. So that's it for this video. Okay, I guess that video covered it all.